In this video, we're taking a look at all the Riri Williams keys that are still worth picking up and 2 long shot, low cost specs. Stay tuned.
Bry's Comics.
Those of you that follow the channel and are signed up for the newsletter know that I am in hot pursuit of a big grail, and we'll see if it even happens. I don't know. With the way these auction houses go and prices are going for grails these days, I might just be completely priced out, but I am definitely making a concerted effort to raise enough funds to do so, and in so doing, I've lowered a lot of the prices on stuff over on the website and threw up a new CGC 9.8 pre-order in Invincible Iron Man #1. And the CGC 9.8 is the first cover appearance of Riri Williams as Ironheart, and also the first time that Tony Stark AI and Riri join up in the comic, which is a significant event as well, and we'll get to that later in the video. So I've submitted many of these books to CGC already. They are scheduled to be graded in the system at different stages. Some of them have been there for many months. Some of them got there more recently. So to avoid any disappointment, I'm just going to fill orders as they came in, and I'm stating in the listing for all of them to expect at least 6 months. That way there's no disappointment. Just expect it to be about a 6-month turn time for that. And if it comes back sooner, great. And if not, it'll definitely stay on track with that turn time. So I have them listed for 125 with recent sales between 195 and 260. I do believe there's some good room there for you to double up, especially with the timelines for Riri and when some of the significant price hikes we'll probably see with the Black Panther trailer and the Disney Plus show. We're far enough away from that these books will be back and in hand before those major announcements come. So let's talk about the timelines and the major announcements for Riri. So we've known for a while now that Riri Williams was confirmed to have received her own Disney Plus show with Dominique Thorne cast in the main role, but we just got news that she is also confirmed to make her debut appearance in Black Panther World of Wakanda. They started filming for that movie at MIT, which is how Riri will be introduced into the MCU. And in the comics, she was a student at MIT, so this makes perfect sense. And this is big news because feature-length Marvel Cinematic Universe films are the biggest of the big leagues for Marvel characters. And to me, it shows that Marvel is really doubling down on the character of Riri Williams, making her debut in a major MCU film in Black Panther World of Wakanda and getting her own Disney Plus series already confirmed and cast and everything like that. It just shows to me that the MCU has a ton of faith in this character, and for that reason, I do too. A lot of people have mentioned, that Riri still needs to prove herself, and they are absolutely correct. She definitely does still need to prove herself to see if she will have any legs in the MCU for the long term. But again, I'm all in because of all the faith that Marvel is putting in her. Now onto the keys that I think are still worth picking up. First up, we have Invincible Iron Man #1. This is the first cover appearance of Riri Williams in costume as Ironheart and is a solid key. It's also the first time that Tony Stark AI appears and joins up with Riri to be the AI in Riri's suit, which is a really significant moment in Riri's story. And I also think that this is how it's going to play out in the MCU. It's my favorite theory is that Robert Downey Jr. will reprise the role of Tony Stark AI in the MCU. So it's not the first appearance of the Tony Stark AI that's infamous Iron Man #1, but it is the first time that Tony Stark AI joins up with Riri, which is a significant event. And some people question how important of a key this issue is, and they have a valid point, but it's undeniable that this will go down as a key for Riri and will maintain value. And that's a really important point when it comes to speculation. Sometimes you need to put aside your own opinions of value and go with what the market dictates. If you're collecting books for the PC, of course, go with what you value. But if you're collecting books to flip, you got to go with what the market values. So there's a bunch of different variants for this issue, and they are all highly sought after. You really can't go wrong with this issue. Then we have Invincible Iron Man #3, and this is the debut of a new Ironheart armor, the Mark II armor, which is not the most recent Riri armor, so I don't really see a lot of spec potential because of that. But it's also the first time that Riri is referred to as Ironheart by the Tony Stark AI, which also, in my opinion, is not terribly important to the story because she actually was referred to as Ironheart on the cover of Invincible Iron Man #1. It just doesn't happen in story until issue #3. So it's definitely a key. It's a key issue. And one thing is for sure, Invincible Iron Man number 3 is definitely more rare than Invincible Iron Man number 1. But sometimes people compare the two issues, and really they can't be compared. They're different issues. They're significant for different reasons, and they're on different price points. So they're both keys. I just would separate the two and not compare it to Invincible Iron Man number 1. Next, we have Ironheart number 1. And this is the first solo series for Ironheart, which I think has some great potential as well, especially some of the variants. First solo series is usually one of those books that has some great potential ROI because you can find raw copies more readily because it's an issue number 1, and there's great potential to pick them up, slab them yourself, and make some sweet coin. There's two 1 in 50s for this book. There's a Stephanie Hans variant, which really I am not too crazy about this Hans variant. It's something weird about the art. But then there's the Jen Bartel 1 in 50 variant, and holy crap, is that thing amazing. It's got Riri riding the shoulders of her armor, and she's wearing some pretty awesome kicks. And here's a fun little fact. If you didn't know, Jen Bartel actually designs shoes as well, which is probably why there's this little shout out to Riri wearing some awesome shoes in this variant. She's done awesome designs for all the big name brands like Adidas, K-Swiss, Reebok, and they're often some really cool superhero designs. But the money book for this issue is Ironheart number 1 second print. It's an absolute ghost with only about 1,000 copies ordered by retailers, and they're just gone. They're just not on the market. And if you do find one, it's probably not a 9.8. These books are probably in back bin somewhere or just read to death and just like, under someone's bed. There was only 1,000 copies made, so I wouldn't expect to stumble across one of these. And next we have Ironheart number 9. And this is the first meeting of Shuri and Riri goes to Wakanda. And I would steer clear of this book for right now, you guys, because it has absolutely exploded. It's gone up like 500% in one day. It was selling for about 15 to 20 bucks raw, and now it's selling for well over 100. It's just too hot right now. I would just avoid it altogether and go for less sharky waters. Now for the two low-cost long shot specs. First is Champions number 16. This is the first time that Riri joins the Champions, but it's not only Riri, it's also the first time that Falcon and Joaquin Torres joins the Champions. The Red Locust joins the Champions, who first appears in Champions number 9, and Patriot joins in Sean Lucas. So if the Champions make it into the MCU, and if Riri or any of the other characters in this issue make it onto the team, this book will see a rise. But that's a lot of ifs. So I wouldn't go crazy for this. Keep it around $10 or less. And lastly, we have Champions number 27. This is the first kiss between Riri and Viv Vision. Viv Vision is on this iteration of the Champions team, and she's a character that I'm speccing on as well. Just like the first meeting of Riri and Shuri just shot up 500% because there was a significant event that's going to happen in the MCU that happened in that book, the same thing would happen with this if we saw this play out on the screen, the moment between Riri and Viv Vision. There's a cover A, and then there's also a Djurjevic Fantastic Four villains cover, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And this is the last issue for that series, and it's a super long shot, you guys, so keep it cover price or less on this one. If you haven't already signed up for the newsletter over at brycecomics.com, now would be a perfect time to do so because I'm getting ready to draw the winner for August. And August prize is a CGC 9.8 Invincible number 1 local comic shop day gold foil edition, and every single month you stay subscribed, you are entered to win a free slab. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video, you guys, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bryce Comics.